Most people spend their entire lives searching for power outside of themselves. They look for it in money, in positions, in approval, in circumstances, in people they believe are superior or more fortunate. They search desperately, endlessly, believing that power exists somewhere beyond their reach. Napoleon Hill taught a very different truth. The power you seek is not external. It has never been external. It is already within you, waiting not to be found, but to be recognized. This is not philosophy. This is not metaphor. This is documented reality, proven by every man Hill studied over 20 years of research. The tragedy of most lives is not weakness. It is unawareness. Men live beneath their potential, not because they lack power, but because they have been systematically taught to ignore the power they possess. They have been conditioned to look outward when the source has always been inward. Today, you will understand why so many men live as beggars when they were born as kings. Why they seek permission when they already possess authority. Why they search for power when it has been operating inside their own mind all along. If you are committed to mastering your inner world and shaping your outer results, subscribe to this channel now. This is where we decode the timeless success principles inspired by Napoleon Hill. Because what you are about to learn threatens every system that profits from your sense of powerlessness. Every institution that requires your compliance. Every voice that insists you are insufficient without their product, their approval, their permission. The truth is simpler and more revolutionary. You already have everything you need. From the moment you could comprehend language, you were taught to look outward for validation, direction, and power. Your parents told you what to think. Your teachers told you what to believe. Society told you what success looks like, and who possesses it. And through this constant conditioning, you learned a lie. That power exists outside of you, controlled by others, accessible only through their approval. Napoleon Hill understood that this is not accidental. This is systematic. Systems require compliance to function. Governments need citizens who obey. Corporations need employees who follow. Institutions need members who conform. And compliance is most easily achieved when people believe they lack power. A man who believes he is powerless will not question authority. He will not challenge systems. He will not trust his own judgment. He will wait for permission. He will seek approval. He will surrender his will to external forces. This is not conspiracy. This is observable reality. Think about your own life. How many times have you silenced your own instinct because someone in a position of authority disagreed? How many times have you abandoned your own vision because others called it unrealistic? How many times have you doubted your own judgment simply because it contradicted the majority? Every time you did this, you surrendered power. Not because you lacked it, but because you were trained to believe it belonged to someone else. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the most successful and powerful men of his era, and he discovered something that contradicts everything conventional wisdom teaches. These men did not acquire power from external sources. They recognized power within themselves and developed it deliberately. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, Theodore Roosevelt. None of these men were born into privilege. None of them had advantages that you do not possess. What they had was something far more valuable. They knew that power originates in the mind, and the mind can be controlled. This realization changed everything. Let us speak directly about how your power was suppressed. The education system taught you to memorize answers, not to question assumptions. To follow instructions, not to create solutions. To seek external validation through grades, not to trust internal knowing. This was not education. This was conditioning for obedience. You learned that the teacher has power. The textbook has truth. The system has authority. And you have nothing but the obligation to comply. This pattern continued into adulthood. Your employer has power. Your government has authority. Experts have knowledge. And you are told to trust them, follow them, obey them. Over years, this conditioning becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as a source of power and start seeing yourself as a recipient of permission. Napoleon Hill called this the hypnotic rhythm of thought habits. Thoughts repeated consistently become beliefs. Beliefs repeated consistently become identity. And identity determines destiny. The thought "I am powerless," repeated daily for decades, becomes the belief "I am powerless," and a man who believes he is powerless will never exercise the power he possesses. This is the tragedy Hill observed everywhere. Not that men lacked power, but that they were hypnotized into believing they did. The media reinforces this daily. News designed to trigger fear and helplessness. Entertainment that glorifies external saviors and mocks self-reliance. Advertisements that insist you are incomplete without their product. All of it serves the same purpose: to convince you that power exists outside of you. But it does not. If this message is resonating with you, leave a like on this video. It helps this teaching reach those who are ready to reclaim their inner authority. Napoleon Hill understood that every form of power begins with thought. Not physical power, not financial power, mental power, the power to choose what you think, what you believe, and what you repeatedly impress upon your subconscious mind. The first law of inner power is this: thought is the primary force. Everything you see in the physical world began as thought. Every building, every invention, every fortune, every empire. Before Carnegie built his steel empire, he thought it. Before Edison created the light bulb, he imagined it. Before Ford revolutionized manufacturing, he conceived it. Thought precedes form, always. But here is what most people miss. Thought does not just create external things. Thought creates you. The thoughts you think repeatedly shape your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your emotions. Your emotions drive your behavior. Your behavior creates your circumstances. This is not theory. This is the mechanics of human experience. A man who thinks "I am incapable" will feel incapable. He will behave according to that feeling, and his circumstances will reflect that behavior. A man who thinks "I am powerful" will feel empowered. He will act with confidence, and his circumstances will reflect that confidence. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." This is not motivation. This is law. The power you seek begins with the thoughts you choose. Not the thoughts that happen to you, but the thoughts you deliberately install through autosuggestion. Most people never exercise this power. They allow the world to think for them. They absorb fear, limitation, doubt, and social conditioning without resistance. Over time, these borrowed thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs quietly dictate behavior. The man who believes he is weak behaves weakly. The man who believes he is limited accepts limitation. But the moment a man realizes that his thoughts are controllable, everything changes. He is no longer a victim of circumstance. He is the architect of his own mind. And the architect of his mind is the architect of his life. The second law of inner power is this: the subconscious mind does not distinguish between truth and repetition. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it consistently. This is why the power you seek feels distant. Not because it is absent, but because it has been buried under years of unexamined thinking. Napoleon Hill warned against this form of inner surrender. He taught that the greatest enemy of man is not circumstance, but lack of self-belief formed through negative suggestion and repetition. From childhood, most people are taught what they cannot do, where they do not belong, and why they should stay realistic. These ideas become mental fences. Over time, the man stops testing the fence. He simply lives inside it, but the fence was never real. It was suggestion accepted as fact. Hill called this definiteness of limitation. The subconscious, through repetition, accepts limitation as identity. And once identity is formed around limitation, all behavior confirms it. But here is the power. If the subconscious accepts negative repetition, it also accepts positive repetition. This is autosuggestion. The process of deliberately feeding the subconscious with chosen thoughts until they become belief. Andrew Carnegie understood this deeply. Carnegie was not born believing he would become one of the wealthiest men in history. He built that belief deliberately through daily autosuggestion. Every morning, before rising, Carnegie would affirm his definite chief aim. He would see himself clearly as the man he intended to become. He would feel the emotions of that future reality as if it were already present. This was not fantasy. This was programming. Carnegie repeated this process daily for years, and his subconscious, unable to distinguish between repetition and truth, accepted it. His behavior aligned. His decisions reflected belief. His results confirmed identity. This is how inner power is activated. Not through wishing, but through deliberate, repeated impression upon the subconscious mind. Hill wrote extensively about this in Think and Grow Rich. He called it the principle of autosuggestion, and he was clear. This is the bridge between conscious desire and subconscious power. Most people use autosuggestion unconsciously and negatively. They repeat fear, doubt, and limitation until the subconscious accepts it as identity. But when you use autosuggestion consciously and positively, you install power where weakness once lived. Take a moment now and comment below where you are watching this video from. I want to see how far this message of inner power is reaching. The third law of inner power is this: imagination is the workshop of the mind. When imagination is aligned with faith, it becomes creative force. Napoleon Hill taught that imagination is where all achievement begins. Every invention, every fortune, every transformation was first an idea held with belief before it became reality. But most people misunderstand imagination. They see it as fantasy, as daydreaming, as something impractical. Hill taught the opposite. Imagination is the most practical power you possess. Because everything that exists in the physical world was once imagined. The chair you sit on, the building you live in, the device you are watching this on. All of it began as thought in someone's imagination. But imagination alone is not enough. Imagination without faith remains fantasy. Faith is the element that transforms imagination into power. Faith is the deep conviction that what you imagine can become real. The poor man and the rich man both possess imagination. The difference is this: the rich man has faith in his imagination. The poor man doubts it. One acts on his imagination. The other dismisses it as unrealistic. Thomas Edison understood this principle completely. Edison imagined the electric light bulb before it existed. He saw it clearly in his mind. He felt it as real. But Edison went further. He had absolute faith that his imagination would become physical reality. This faith sustained him through 10,000 failed experiments. While others mocked him, while investors withdrew, while colleagues doubted, Edison's faith never wavered. Because his faith was not based on external validation. It was based on internal knowing. He knew that what he imagined was possible, and that knowing was power. Hill studied Edison extensively and concluded, faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches, not luck, not talent. Faith in your own imagination. Faith in your ability to bring thought into form. Faith in the power that operates within you. This faith is not religious belief, though it may include it. This faith is psychological. It is the absolute conviction that your mind, when directed with purpose and sustained with emotion, can influence reality. And this conviction, when held consistently, activates power that most people never access. Your imagination is not decoration. It is power waiting to be used. And when aligned with faith, it becomes the force that shapes your life. The fourth law of inner power is this: decision is the activator of dormant power. Indecision is the habit of weak minds, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack belief in their own authority. Decision is an act of self. Napoleon Hill observed that successful men make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful men do the opposite. This is not coincidence. It is confidence in inner power. Most people delay decision because they are waiting for certainty. They want to know they are right before they commit. But certainty does not precede decision. Certainty follows decision. When you decide firmly, something shifts internally. The subconscious aligns, energy consolidates. Action becomes focused. Life begins to respond. This is why waiting for confidence is a mistake. Confidence is built through decision, not before it. Each decision strengthens your belief in yourself. Each action reinforces identity. Henry Ford understood this completely. When Ford decided to build the Model T, he had no certainty it would succeed. Experts told him it was impossible. Engineers said his vision was flawed. Investors called him reckless. But Ford made the decision anyway. And once decided, he committed absolutely. That decision activated power. Not because the decision was perfect, but because it was definite. Hill wrote, "The man who reaches a definite decision to procure a particular thing, and stands by that decision until he gets it, has learned the secret of success. The secret is not talent, not resources, not timing. The secret is decision, because decision activates the subconscious. It signals intent. And the subconscious, when given clear direction, begins organizing behavior automatically to align with that decision. Indecision scatters power. Decision concentrates it. Most men live in perpetual indecision. They consider, they weigh options. They seek more information. They wait for perfect conditions. And while they wait, their power remains dormant. But the man who decides, even imperfectly, activates power immediately. He learns through action. He adjusts through feedback. He builds certainty through proof. The power within you responds to use. The more you command it through decision, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it feels. Power unused fades into doubt. Power exercised grows into certainty. If you are finding clarity in this message, subscribe to this channel. These teachings are meant to be applied, not admired. The fifth law of inner power is this: no man can master his environment until he first masters himself. Self-mastery is the highest form of power. It requires control of thought, emotional discipline, and persistence in the face of resistance. Napoleon Hill taught that self-mastery is not suppression, it is direction. It is the ability to guide your thoughts, emotions, and actions toward a definite aim regardless of external circumstances. Most men are controlled by their emotions. They react instead of respond. They are victims of their moods. They allow external events to dictate internal states. This is not power. This is surrender. True power is demonstrated when external chaos does not create internal chaos. When circumstances change but purpose remains steady. When others panic but you remain calm. This is self-mastery. And it is the foundation of all lasting achievement. John D. Rockefeller exemplified this principle. Rockefeller built his empire during periods of extreme volatility, market crashes, economic panics, ruthless competition. But Rockefeller never lost composure. While others reacted emotionally, making desperate decisions, Rockefeller remained steady. This was not temperament. This was trained self-mastery. Rockefeller understood that emotional control is power. The man who controls his emotions controls his decisions. The man who controls his decisions controls his destiny. Hill studied Rockefeller and wrote, "Self-discipline is the master key to riches, not talent, not connections." Self-discipline, because self-discipline allows you to persist when others quit, to focus when others scatter, to decide when others hesitate. Self-mastery also includes mastery of the 6 basic fears that Hill identified. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, and fear of death. These fears, when uncontrolled, paralyze power. They prevent decision. They weaken faith. They sabotage action. But when mastered, fear transforms into fuel. It sharpens focus. It intensifies purpose. It proves commitment. The power you seek is not found in the absence of fear. It is found in the mastery of fear. And mastery begins with one simple practice: the refusal to allow emotion to dictate action. You feel fear. You act anyway. You feel doubt. You decide anyway. You feel resistance. You persist anyway. This is self-mastery, and self-mastery is power in its purest form. Let us speak about the defining moments when ordinary men realized they possessed extraordinary power. Andrew Carnegie discovered his power during a moment of crisis. His business was failing. Investors were withdrawing. Employees were panicking. Carnegie could have reacted with desperation. Instead, he made a decision. He would trust his own judgment over popular opinion. He would act on his own vision regardless of external circumstances. That decision changed everything. Not because conditions improved immediately, but because Carnegie's relationship with power shifted. He stopped seeking it externally and started commanding it internally. Within months, his business stabilized. Within years, he dominated the steel industry. Henry Ford discovered his power when he was told his automobile vision was impossible. Engineers dismissed him. Investors refused him. The world said no. Ford responded with one word: watch. That response was not arrogance. It was recognition. Recognition that the power to create did not require permission. It required decision. Ford committed absolutely to his vision, and that commitment activated power that surprised even him. Thomas Edison discovered his power during his 10,000th failed experiment. Most men would have quit. Edison did not. Because Edison understood something profound. Failure is not the absence of power. Failure is proof of power being exercised. Every failed experiment taught Edison something, and every lesson strengthened his faith. By the time he succeeded, his power was undeniable. Napoleon Hill himself discovered his power during a moment of profound doubt. Hill had spent years researching success principles, but he was broke. His work was unrecognized. His future was uncertain. He could have quit. He could have concluded that success principles do not work. Instead, Hill decided to trust what he had learned, to apply the principles despite circumstances, to persist despite evidence. That decision activated the very power he had been writing about. Within years, Think and Grow Rich was published. It became one of the most influential books ever written. Hill's legacy became permanent. These men did not discover power by accident. They discovered it through crisis, through decision, through refusal to surrender to external circumstances. And the same power they discovered exists within you. Napoleon Hill taught that inner power operates in three distinct but interconnected forms. Mental power. This is the power to control thought, to choose what enters your mind, to direct attention deliberately, to install beliefs through autosuggestion. Mental power is the foundation. Without it, the other forms remain inaccessible. Emotional power. This is the power of transmutation. The ability to transform negative emotion into positive action, to convert fear into courage, to channel frustration into determination. Hill called this sex transmutation in Think and Grow Rich, but the principle extends beyond sexuality. It is the process of redirecting emotional energy toward creative ends. Most men are controlled by emotion. Men with emotional power control emotion. They use it as fuel instead of allowing it to drain them. Spiritual power. This is the power of connection to infinite intelligence. Hill taught that a higher intelligence governs the universe, and human minds can tap into it through faith and alignment. This is not religious dogma. This is recognition that individual power, when aligned with universal principles, multiplies exponentially. These three forms work together. Mental power directs thought. Emotional power fuels action. Spiritual power aligns with higher law. When all three are active, a man becomes unstoppable. Napoleon Hill identified 6 basic fears that keep most people from accessing their inner power. The first block, fear of poverty. This fear convinces men they lack resources. It prevents risk. It encourages safety over growth. It keeps power dormant because power requires investment. Solution. Recognize that poverty is a state of mind, not a circumstance. Abundance begins with belief, not bank balance. The second block, fear of criticism. This fear makes men seek approval instead of pursuing truth. It paralyzes decision. It weakens conviction. Solution. Understand that criticism is inevitable. The man who fears criticism surrenders power to anyone willing to judge. The third block, Fear of ill health. This fear drains energy through worry. It creates imagined sickness. It focuses attention on weakness instead of strength. Solution: direct thought toward health, vitality, and strength. What you focus on expands. The fourth block: fear of loss of love. This fear makes men dependent on others for emotional stability. It gives power to anyone who offers affection or withdraws it. Solution: self-love precedes all other love. A man who values himself cannot be controlled through emotional manipulation. The fifth block: fear of old age. This fear convinces men their best years are behind them. It creates resignation. It weakens ambition. Solution: age is irrelevant to power. Mental power does not decline with years. It strengthens with discipline. The sixth block: fear of death. This fear underlies all others. It creates urgency that feels like pressure. It prevents presence. Solution: accept mortality. Once accepted, death loses power. And in that acceptance, life gains urgency without fear. These 6 fears are not natural. They are learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. Each fear you master returns power to you. And power returned is power available for creation. Comment below where you are watching from. Let me know this message is reaching you. Enough philosophy. Let us speak about execution. Step 1. Daily autosuggestion every morning before the world reaches you. Install your definite chief aim into your conscious mind. Speak it aloud. See it clearly. Feel it emotionally. This is not optional. This is the foundation of all power activation. Step 2. Deliberate imagination. Spend 10 minutes daily visualizing the person you intend to become. Not the circumstances you desire, but the identity. See yourself making decisions with confidence, acting without hesitation, moving with purpose. The subconscious responds to images more powerfully than words. Step 3. Progressive decision. Make one definite decision daily. Small or large does not matter. What matters is decisiveness. Train yourself to decide quickly and commit fully. Each decision strengthens the neural pathway of self-trust. Step 4. Emotional mastery. When negative emotion arises, do not suppress it, redirect it. Channel frustration into focused work. Convert fear into disciplined action. This is transmutation, and transmutation is power. Step 5. Fear audit weekly. Examine which of the 6 fears is most active in your life. Name it, observe it, refuse to obey it. Fear mastered is power reclaimed. Step 6. Connection to infinite intelligence daily. Spend time in silence. Not meditation, not prayer, simply silence. In silence, the mind becomes receptive. And in receptivity, infinite intelligence can communicate. Hill called this the 6th sense. It is the highest form of power, and it is accessed through stillness. This is your protocol. Simple, but not easy. Consistency over intensity. Daily practice over occasional effort. How do you know if this is working? Week 1, you will feel resistance. Your mind will crave distraction. Your emotions will fluctuate. This is normal. This is old patterns defending themselves. Week 2, decisions come slightly faster. Doubt appears, but does not paralyze. You catch yourself thinking more deliberately. Week 3, confidence grows. Not loud confidence, but quiet certainty. You feel less need for external validation. Week 4, behavior shifts without force. You act from intention instead of reaction. People begin responding to you differently. Week 5, external circumstances start reflecting internal changes. Opportunities appear. Relationships shift. Resources align. This is not magic. This is law. Inner transformation precedes outer transformation. Month 3. Identity has shifted. You no longer identify as someone seeking power. You identify as someone exercising power. And this shift is permanent. Napoleon Hill taught that individual power, no matter how developed, has limits. But when individual power aligns with infinite intelligence, limitation dissolves. Infinite intelligence is the organizing force of the universe. The intelligence that governs nature, the power that creates life. Hill believed that human minds, when properly aligned, can tap into this intelligence. This is not religion, though it may include it. This is recognition that individual power is greatest when connected to something larger. How do you access infinite intelligence? Through faith. Through alignment of purpose with universal principles. Through surrender of ego. This is the paradox. True power requires humility. The recognition that you are powerful, but not the source of power. You are the channel, not the origin. When you align yourself with infinite intelligence through faith and right action, power flows through you that you could never generate alone. Carnegie understood this. Ford understood this. Edison understood this. They all spoke of moments where solutions appeared that they did not consciously create. Ideas surfaced. Connections formed. Resources appeared. This is infinite intelligence, operating through aligned minds. Your power is real, but it is not isolated. It is connected to something far greater. And when you recognize this connection, your power multiplies beyond calculation. The power you seek is already within you. This is not theory. This is law, proven by every man who ever accomplished anything of significance. You were not born powerless. You were taught powerlessness, and what was taught can be untaught. You now understand the 5 laws. The first law, thought is the primary force. The second law, the subconscious accepts repetition as truth. The third law, imagination aligned with faith, creates reality. The fourth law, decision activates dormant power. The fifth law, self-mastery, precedes all other mastery. These are not suggestions, these are principles, and principles do not negotiate. The only question is this: will you claim the power you already possess? Affirm this now, speak it aloud. Let these words impress your subconscious deeply. The power I seek is already within me. I command my thoughts deliberately. I trust my imagination and act with faith. I make decisions quickly and commit fully. I master myself before attempting to master anything else. Fear does not control me. I control fear. My subconscious accepts the beliefs I choose to install. I am connected to infinite intelligence. I do not seek permission. I recognize authority within. My power grows with every decision I make. I am not powerless. I never was. If this message awakened something you have felt but could not name, subscribe to this channel now. More teachings inspired by Napoleon Hill are coming. Principles that built empires. Principles that transformed lives. Principles that most will never apply because they prefer to believe power exists somewhere else. Like this video, so this message reaches others who are ready. And comment below where you are watching from. I want to see how far this truth is spreading. Remember this clearly. The moment you stop searching outward and start commanding inward, your life changes direction. And that moment is not tomorrow, not next week. That moment is now. Because the power you seek has been waiting for you all along. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for activation. Waiting for you to finally claim what was always yours.